You're watching and listening to Conscious Evolution Media, shifting global consciousness at consciousevolutionmedia.com.
Today's podcast is brought to you by Kids Talk Foundation, a global nonprofit organization providing youth advocacy, television programming, and training services in the United States, along with comprehensive medical and educational services for the developing world, most recently in Kenya, Africa, where Kids Talk Foundation provides a feeding program, medical care, and educational services to over 1,300 young people each day. Please help our youth and place your donation. Go to www.kidstalk.org. Are you in the entertainment industry? If you answered yes and you want to promote yourself, your passion, and profession, check out Creative Independent Artist magazines at CIAartists.com. Endorsed by Kids Talk Foundation worldwide.
Let's face it, unless you've been hiding under a rock, you know that everyone's talking about Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and how to connect with clients online. Join Constance M. Drew, the Barefoot Marketer, as she helps business owners create strategic digital, online, social media, and search engine optimization marketing strategies to reach global clients while working in bare feet. Here's your Internet TV host, Constance Drew.
Okay, welcome everybody on this beautiful Thursday late afternoon with the Barefoot Marketer show, and I'm gonna kick Constance's show off for her to have her just relax into it. It's the only way to start a brand new internet TV show. So I want to welcome Constance Drew, the Barefoot Marketer. How are you, Constance?
I'm good, Steve. How are you?
I want to see your foot.
You know, I knew you were going to ask that, and would you believe tonight it's not barefoot, it's boots?
Everybody on the network has been talking about it. We have 4 shows today, and it just so happens I'm in all 4 of them. So I've been I've been marketing your show for you. So everybody is wondering, what the heck is this? Who is this Barefoot Marketer? So I think they're going to find out. And the best way to find out is tell our viewers, Constance, what you've been doing in your life and how did you get to be the Barefoot Marketer?
Well, it's actually a journey, I think is the best way to put it. I've done a lot of different things in my life, and I know when you and I first met initially last year, I had just come out to New Orleans, Louisiana. And I decided then, like shortly after I got here, that I wanted to start working more, really focusing more on marketing. And I found for me that social media, the internet, search engine optimization, all of those things are really where it's at for a business. And to really be able to reach, you know, a global audience while working in bare feet. So where I came up with the Barefoot Marketer was I felt like, and honestly, most of my work is done from home, in front of a computer, in my bare feet. And I thought if you can really think about that and think about that concept, about how powerful that is, that you can reach so many people no matter where you're at. So I can be sitting here in New Orleans, and of course, you know, you and I are talking from, you're in Denver, and I'm sure the audience is all over the place. Mm-hmm. And so that's where I kind of came up with that. And I kind of want to add something else with that, because as an intuitive business coach, the kind of bare feet come in with that too, if that makes sense. Because usually when I work with well, it does, because when I work with clients, I find that I try to meditate before I work with a coaching client, for example, and I'm in my bare feet. So I thought, well, how appropriate then to, you know, be the Barefoot Marketer.
Mm-hmm. Awesome, fantastic. I certainly hope that you know, within a short period of time, this will be a household word. Barefoot Marketer.
Yeah. Which means I might have to get more pedicures, but anyway, that'll come in time.
Yeah, that will be okay. All right, so in terms of your background, what have you done during your journey that now qualifies you to be giving advice on marketing?
Oh Lord, I think, I mean, my journey started literally from the time when I was probably 9 years old, if that makes sense as far as marketing. I grew up on a farm, which I laugh when I share this story, but anyway, I grew up on a farm, and I started basically in show stock, livestock. But it was funny, even at the point I realized how important marketing myself was, and I was in a bank at 10 years old borrowing my first business loan, if you can believe that. Basically, I wanted to borrow for so many cattle or whatever, and then I would pay back after a certain point. And I think just I've been a natural-born entrepreneur. So if I can go back literally to that, point, going forward, I mean, throughout my life, I've run several different types of businesses. I've had a bridal shop in the past where I had a retail store, so I've seen that side of it where I had to work the brick and mortar. I've ended up actually launching a lot of programs within departments, technology departments in law firms. So I've got a vast experience as far as really knowing that what I found is the bottom line of everything, no matter what I was doing. Marketing was the key. What I mean by that, and I think why I can speak as an expert now, is I'll give you an example. Even in major law firms in New York City, I remember that I would literally be brought in to start a department from scratch. And in order to really get attorneys to buy into what I was doing, I had to market myself. I had to go out to them and prove to them the services that our department could bring them and why it was beneficial to the clients, why it was beneficial to the attorneys. And I think that, again, I found no matter what I was doing, whether it was a bridal business, whether it's been consulting, coaching, web design, setting up technology departments, everything centers on that marketing, getting the word out, and also, and I think you and I have talked a little bit about it, part of that is showing what value you bring to a client, and that's what I found too. Again, going back to the New York law firms, I had to sell myself to them, basically showing them what I could do to help them.
Well said. So I know this from my own experience and wisdom is that most business owners really do not like marketing, do not like to do it, do not like to have it done to them. Most entrepreneurs, I'm not going to put everybody in that category because there are exceptions, but most entrepreneurs really good at what it is that they're passionate about and what they do and what they bring to the table. In case of the attorney, the attorneys believe in themselves. They believe in the fact that they can represent their client and win. That's what they believe in. They couldn't care less about marketing.
That's true. That's why they had big marketing departments in law firms.
But it so happens that most businesses find out that, yes, you can go from client to client. So, like, get a client, do the work, and then all of a sudden, the day you wake up, the project is complete and you don't have another project to work on and you don't have income, that's not a good place to be.
No, it's not. But I think you hit on a couple of things there, and I kind of want to talk about that when we talk about why entrepreneurs they don't like to market. I mean, what's your feeling on that, Steve? Why do you think they don't like to market? What are they afraid of?
Well, I think part of it is conditioning from society and conditioning from whatever they bought, hook, line, and sinker that they heard about marketing in their life. And that's not even their own experience or opinion. It's somebody else's that they just took on. And part of it is that they don't really feel good in their own skin.
Yeah.
Meaning they can't, and this is why I love our network, because what our network teaches is you gotta be able to sit here, stand here, I don't know, I don't care how you do it, but you gotta be able to look the camera in the eye and say whatever you have to say. Express yourself. And that's no different than if you are standing in front of the client, group of people, and you have to say something that's going to make a difference.
And I think you might have hit on something too, but and it's ironic because I was just talking to a colleague a few weeks ago, and we were talking about, and I think back to conditioning, like you mentioned, that a lot of times when you're trying to market a business, a potential client sometimes sees that as sales versus marketing. And I think that sometimes you, as a business owner, when we're marketing our business, we kind of need to keep that in mind. I think there's times when you kind of step in for the sale, so to speak, but I think there's other times when marketing is getting your name out there, letting people know what you can do for them. And like you said, if you're not comfortable in your own skin, I think a lot of business owners do have that issue, or because I worked with a lot of creatives, they're very good at what they do, but as far as like knowing how to get their message out, that was their stumbling block, was how do I get it out, what I do. Who is my audience? What do you mean an audience? I mean, literally working with people, helping them to understand kind of the process of marketing.
Yeah. Yeah, and and I have proof because I work with thousands of small business owners, and I can't even count how many websites I've been to, and there's no video. Why do you think there's no video?
Kind of like mine, because we're like ramping up to that point. No. I think a lot of it depends on the areas that you're in as far as the business owners. And what I mean by that is, like, I'll even give New Orleans as an example. A lot of business owners here are still just at that cusp, and I think a lot of it was due to Katrina. I mean, in fairness, I think with the hurricanes that have hit here and the rebuild that this community has had to do, their technology is just now really starting to step into where it needs to be. So what I mean by that is I literally know business owners out here that are still, using Facebook as their medium versus, so that should be part of it, but they'll use Facebook versus a website. Mm-hmm. And so when you mention video...
Constance, do you think people understand, and I agree with you about clarity, and there's a lot of confusion out there, but this is one of the confusions. There are many. Do you think people understand that when they use Facebook as their website, they're helping Facebook, quote unquote, as an entity, their traffic, and their ability to make money?
I don't think a lot of people understand that. I think, and what I find too with a lot of business owners when it comes to business Facebook, for example, and marketing, they're still looking at it. Well, especially what a lot of business owners I'm seeing do right now is they want to hire a college student to handle their social media, for example. They don't realize that just like anything else, it's like you have to have a marketing plan, a marketing strategy for Facebook. And the way I look at that is that's part of your marketing plan. Like you said, if a business is using Facebook, like who's really getting the benefit, and that's all they're using, it is. You're increasing Facebook's traffic. You're increasing, they're the ones
value.
that you're using. Mm-hmm. I don't think a lot of business owners understand that, though, to be honest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, same thing that there have been several blogging sites, and they remain to be nameless, that people have been using because, quote unquote, it's free. But again, you having blogs on those sites doesn't help you as much as it would help if you would just have your own site, because you making them successful by sending traffic to their site.
I think that's where, and I'm hoping, like even through the Barefoot Marketer Show, that we can start educating, the small business owners a little more to what their strategies really are, and like you're saying, like what's really benefiting the business owner versus what's really benefiting another business, for example.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
I am hoping that's what we'll, cover and kind of help people to understand. And it's ironic that you'd mention it, because I thought it was. I actually had a colleague again contact me recently because somebody had posted about I don't know what the name of the site was now, but somebody that created free websites. And of course, as a web designer, he was asking me, he said, "Why are you advertising free websites?" And I started laughing. I said, "Well, that wasn't my post." but I think with anything else, people have to understand that even taking websites, for example, everything, I go back to strategy. You need to have a strategy for it. What's its purpose? How's it going to serve that purpose? And I'm not knocking free websites per se, but I think, again, it really depends on what is the purpose of that.
Well, correct. That there is a, anytime. Okay, so we can comfortably say this. Anytime something is advertised as free, there is a underneath that there is a motivation to do something once you accept the free gift. There's nothing wrong with accepting free gifts. It's just you've got to know and not be disappointed or not be angry that you find that after you accepted the free gift, somebody's going to upsell you to something that's going to cost money.
Exactly. And it's funny, I don't know why, when you're saying that, it just reminds me that I was saying if something seems too good to be true, it usually is.
Yeah.
I kind of use that philosophy even like when you're looking at different services. There are,
so I really, instead of saying it's free, I rather use the concept, I'm going to give you an appetizer to what it is that we do, either a service or a product. Go ahead and consume the appetizer, and then we'll talk about the main meal.
Well, that is a good way to put it.
And I guarantee you, if you like the appetizer, you're going to like the main meal.
So you mean like last year when I was your guest, that was the appetizer, right?
That was the appetizer, yes. It took you a long time to consume it.
I knew that was going to come up,
but I make no judgments about that because everything happens. I don't like to force or manipulate people into doing things. It doesn't work for me. I'd rather people do things when they want to do them and when they're ready and they choose it powerfully.
And I'd like to kind of add to that because, we have laughed about that, but I swear, every time I would get ready to start to sign on the dotted line for the show, something would happen. I mean, a hurricane. I mean, give me a break. I mean, it seemed like it was one thing after another that happened. And the reason why I want to mention that, though, is I finally had to, and like we know, you've had to nudge me a little bit. I finally had to make the decision, though, that if I was waiting for the perfect time to do this, it was never going to arrive.
Right. It's the same syndrome as, how people say, okay, I'm not going to buy a computer right now because 6 months from now, it's going to be outdated. That is absolutely true. But if you wait another 6 months, you're gonna be in the same situation.
Well, and I think that's why, for me, I finally decided that this show is something I've been wanting to do for a while, and I just finally realized I just had to do it. I mean, everything is not perfect like I wanted it to be with my website or with anything else right now. We're still in progress, but I realized again that if I'm waiting for that perfect moment, there probably is no perfect moment. I think sometimes you have to...
Well, there is. It's right now.
Well, and that's what... It's right now. It's right now. And I think you hit something too, though. It's funny because for me, I do definitely have to kind of step back before I take those steps forward. And I even do that with my coaching clients. Like I find a lot of times, and this kind of comes to the point of being in the now, like you're talking about at this moment, right now, the awareness. Mm-hmm. And I do that with my coaching clients. Sometimes they'll come to me all frantic and like, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. And I kind of freak them out because sometimes I'll take a session and say, okay, we're going to step back now. And they're like, what? And I'm like, brakes on, step back. You need to know where you're at before you can start stepping forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, actually, there's another symptom there that a lot of people have, and you just mentioned it, and that's perfect, which is a lot of people have this belief or mindset that they have to have everything done. Everything has to, and these are the perfectionists, which I feel for them because it is very painful to be a perfectionist because nothing is ever 100% right.
It is hard, and I can actually speak to that because
it's not easy.
No, and I know that's what I was dealing with. finally taking
Yeah.
a step to go ahead and launch the show was like, okay, but I want this to be perfect. I want this in line. I want that in line. And I finally realized I just need to go with the flow. Even though I said step back, that's kind of, you step back, kind of take a look, and I'm one of these people I have to prod myself because sometimes I'll step back too long. Like, yeah, you need to analyze and look at things, but you don't want to spend too much time there either. So I think it's a fine balance.
Yeah, actually, I want to show this off on the network because the viewers will be able to relate to this. So I'm gonna use a piece of paper, okay, and I'm gonna write down that I am going to. Okay, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to buy a BMW. Okay, just wrote down.
Buy a BMW. Okay.
Right. Yeah, and I could go out and get one right now if I was really serious about it and really committed. But this is what people do. Tomorrow, they're still thinking about buying a BMW, but the paper is only that big. The day after tomorrow, they still think about it, but now it's only that big. And the day after that, they're still thinking about buying that BMW, but now it's only that big. And then the day after tomorrow, it still comes to their mind once in a while. And then the day after that, do you get the idea? Mm-hmm. So they do this until it's so small that it's really gone. The intention is gone. Why? Because there's no action.
You just you prodded something. It's ironic because I had just pulled this off of my old laptop the other day that I had an intention list for the longest time, and for some reason in the past year I haven't had that. And for me, like you're talking about the intentions, well, it's the intention plus the action, like you're saying. But if you don't at least have the intentions to start with, it's kind of like floating, freestyle somewhere. So I think
it's just an idea. And people have millions of ideas that go absolutely nowhere. They could be the most brilliant idea on the planet, but nothing is ever going to happen.
Well, and I think you definitely hit it, Steve, because you have to take action. And that's why I said it's a delicate balance when I work with a client, for example, about stepping back to be in the moment. But I find, too, though, part of my job when I'm coaching somebody like this is I have to make sure that I give them time to step back, but then I give them that nudge to keep moving, kind of like you did me. No.
Yeah, it's really support. I mean, we can't make people do anything they don't want to do. All we can do is support them and understand that if it's important to them, they're going to get through it sooner or later.
And I think a lot of that goes back, I think you even mentioned about kind of being comfortable in one's skin. I think a lot of times, I had a good friend years ago tell me this, that you don't want to get caught too much in this, but sometimes you have to, just as a person, figure out what you like and don't like. And I know I went through a phase in my life where I could identify what I didn't like a lot easier than I could what I did like, if that makes sense.
Uh-huh. And what we think about is what expands.
Yes, that is very true. That's very true.
I don't want it to sound like a cliche. It probably did sound like it. I've been accused a lot that I use all these cliches, but they're very powerful,
Oh, but I think there is a lot of truth to that. What people think about, it does expand.
Is what expands. Uh-huh. So if you think about you're always broke and you don't have any money, that's going to keep expanding.
And when you don't think about what you're eating, then your waistline expands. So.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's summarize really what you're creating here with this show, The Barefoot Marketer. What is it that you want? What's the value that you want people to, the viewers, to get as they keep watching your show? Why should they keep coming back? And how do you intend to serve the viewers?
Well, I'm going to answer that by going back to, it's funny because I think for years I've felt like that I had a message, so to speak. I don't mean like a prophet. I just mean that kind of like we're talking about with my experience, with my education, just my life experiences even, that I have a lot to offer. And what I mean by that is, and I think a big intent of my show is to be able to reach a lot of people. And when I say reach them, I don't mean just, I'm not looking for the number game as much as, oh, how many listeners do I have? I'm looking to be able to actually reach people and be able to help people. And I guess the way that I envision that is, I'm going to kind of go back to what I initially started about a year and a half ago when I talked about a business on purpose. I think that a business on purpose kind of evolved into the Barefoot Marketer. But I think the Barefoot Marketer is a business on purpose, meaning that, yes, we're going to use the medium of web design, social media, SEO, consulting. But bottom line is I'd like to really
Don't forget media.
Oh, what was that? Oh, and media, you're right.
Don't forget media.
I know, all of a sudden I'm in a whole different arena. But exactly. I mean, I think that's why I actually came and thought, this is a good idea with this show, because I'll be able to reach people. I want them to learn something each night they listen to us. And I think the way that they're going to do this, I'm not necessarily saying they're going to have this huge aha moment and, oh, this is how I need to market my business. But if they can start learning a little bit more about themselves and about how that's reflected in the way they market their business, or even their business themselves, I think I'll achieve what I'm looking to do, is to help people kind of get more connected. And I mean, what better way to connect people than through the internet? I mean, to be able to really reach people. And I really hope that when people come to the show that they can actually sit in, if that makes sense, sit in the moment while we're in the show. Because I think there's a lot of subtle messages that go out to all of us. I know I do this all the time. I'm always, praying for guidance or praying for a sign. But I realize I'm not going to see that sign if my eyes aren't open. I'm not going to hear that message if my ears aren't, where I can hear. So hopefully that's, what this show will bring to people, not only to really be able to market and run successful businesses, but to enrich their lives.
Awesome. I love it. I know you're going to do it.
I hope so. I do. But I think you hit it earlier. It's like you have to be able to bring value to people, and you really have to want to serve. And I have to share this because I thought it was so ironic. They would actually, I had an attorney in California one time laugh at me because I was a project manager for a huge multi-district litigation e-discovery project. And I called this partner up one day in California and I said, so how can I be of service today? And he said, what? And it just caught him off guard. He said, what did you say? And I said, well, I'm wanting to know how I can help you today. And I will always remember that because that attorney, I ended up flying out to California after that. And actually at a dinner, I remember, Tom bringing that up. That he was floored because nobody had, really said, well, how can we help you? How can we be of service? And I was a support person, so I thought that was my role.
That's an awesome share. So let me, before we switch and you start interviewing me, I just wanted to share something that's definitely related to what you do and what your show is all about. So we had a guest on one of our shows a couple of days ago, and as you know, I always look at everybody's website, and as being a guest on the network, one of the things that we've been doing lately, especially for the last 2 or 3 months, is send everybody a complimentary, there's that free hook again, and a complimentary SEO report on their website. And when I looked at this guest's website, it was absolutely gorgeous. I mean, it was done the right way. It looked awesome. It had a beautiful video, introductory video. Everything was, the colors, everything was absolute, like how I know it's a good website, I don't want to leave.
Absolutely.
That's how I know. So I run our report on the website, and he came in with a 40 score. Now our analysis, it goes out to 100 points. 100 meaning, you know, it's almost perfect. There's nothing you have to work on or do differently. Just keep doing what you're doing. Nobody, I know, I never seen anybody with 100, but he came in at 40, which means it's really bad. It needs a lot of work. And I guarantee you, Constance, that he has no clue, or he had no clue until he looks at our report. And these are the things that I'm hoping that you will shed the light on, because if people don't know something, it's not that they're bad. If they don't know it, they can't do anything about it.
Well, what is that I was saying? You don't know what you don't know?
Yeah, so this guy is going like, well, I'm sure he didn't do it. I'm sure he paid somebody to do it. And he's probably sitting back and going, wow, my site is awesome. I'll check that off my list and move on to something else. And that's not so.
Well, I know now that you're saying that, we're working a lot on our website, because what I find
it's just
is,
a pretty brochure, Constance.
Well,
that's all it is. It's a pretty brochure.
And if that is all it is, we're missing the mark. You're
yeah,
right.
pretty brochures don't bring traffic.
Yeah, I know that.
Google doesn't care. Google doesn't care how pretty your site is. It doesn't evaluate it. It's not in the Google algorithm to judge how pretty your site is.
Well, I find when you talk about like shedding light, like even here in this area, a lot of business owners are still they don't use a business email account, because they're being told that it would cost them so much to set that up. And I'll ask them, well, do you have a website? Yes. And so I'm like, well, what's the problem? But I think it comes back to, and you hit something too that I hope that we can do, is educate people and kind of help them to better, you know, what they're doing and to
what to look for. You know, as soon as I see somebody with an AOL email, all kinds of red flags go up for me.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Gmail is king out here. Gmail is king. It's funny. It's just, I think it goes back to that education, though, and I guess coming from the corporate environment for so long, I just thought that was a natural that everybody, you know, would figure that out, that, oh, well, I've got a website, surely, you know, my email should be, you know, tied into that, but there is education to be done.
Yeah, plenty of it, and we're looking forward to it. All right, so it's your turn.
All right. I've been waiting for this one, Steve. Let's see. You had something earlier, and I think that I really had wanted to interview you about this, as far as where you've been and your journey to get to where I know you're going from Real Coaching Network now to Conscious Evolution Media. And I think I would like to kind of start with that and get to know you a little bit more, even though the audience has probably heard from time to time. Maybe you can share something with us that would be a little unique.
Well, yeah, and I said it this way earlier on a show like this, and I did it because it was short and sweet. So, for a long time, I have been lost. And for the last 9 years, I have found myself. I found who I am, and I feel very comfortable in my skin. I know who I am, I know what I want, and I know how to get what I want, and I know when to get what I want. So,
well, that's important too.
So all those questions that I used to ask people 9 years ago, that I had to stop asking because people couldn't answer them. Like I used to start my show, who are you? And then they would tell me their name and their title, and I said, no. I want to know really who you are, not your title, or not your function. And people couldn't answer. And then I used to ask, okay, so what do you want? In other words, what did you come to this planet for? Silence. And then I would ask, how do you think you could get what you want. Silence. And I had to stop asking the questions because I couldn't have silence on the show.
What do you think was the turning point for you? Because like you said, like those 9 years, you felt lost. What was the turning point to help you go from feeling lost to starting to feel comfortable in your own skin?
Well, the turning point was actually pretty simple. I was either gonna destroy myself, and I mean physically, emotionally, and spiritually, 100%, or I was gonna start a new life. In other words, I created a hole that was so deep that I found myself on the bottom of it, and I was asking the question, is there any further to go in this hole? Should I keep going further down, or should I start climbing?
Well, and I guess you chose to climb.
And I chose to climb, yes. So that was the turning point, is when I realized that I don't have to live my life the way I have, that it was really a choice, a powerful choice, and I gave my power away to my ego. I basically took the key and said, here you go, I know you're here to protect me, go ahead and drive. I'm just gonna sit back, enjoy the ride. Well, he certainly took me on an amazing ride.
Well, I think you brought up a good point. Ego was driving. What did you do to actually take that control back? What did you do to actually get the keys back?
What I did is I basically said, guess what? I am not going to gamble anymore, and I'm not going to live with this sexual addiction that I've been living with for many years. What I'm going to do is I'm going to climb out of this hole, and I'm going to start a network called Real Coaching Radio and TV Network. And I'm going to put all my energy, all my time. I basically locked myself up in a 12 by 12 room. I called the leasing company that had my car, and I told them to come get it because I don't need it anymore, since I don't need to go gamble. and I forced myself in this 12 by 12 room to learn about who I am and create this network. And that's how it happened.
Where did the idea of the network come from through all this?
Well, it's something that's been in me all my life. From the time I remember me, I actually had a degree in broadcasting. I just ended up doing the same thing most everybody else is doing, which is I listened to other people telling me to go get a job because I got to make a living and I got to pay for my roof over my head, my meals, and so on and so forth. I have to be able to survive day to day, so I gave up on my dreams to be able to survive. What a concept.
Wow. It is a concept, and I think we all fall into that. It's something we all have to watch for. And I appreciate that you're being open, with everything. And I kind of want to ask you about that. Like, if we're presenting ourselves as experts, how vulnerable do you think we should make ourselves to our audience?
As much as possible.
Well, I don't know. There might be a few skeletons I want to keep back in my closet.
Well, that's up to you. That's up to you. And the reason I feel that way is that we're all human. And we all make mistakes. And we all learn from our mistakes. And that's okay. And if we put ourselves on a pedestal, like many coaches and professionals I know,
yes,
like they don't do no wrong, like they perfect, guess what? Your clients know that and feel that. You can only fool yourself. I can only fool myself. I can't fool you, Constance, because you're going to read me like an open book.
With that intuition I have, too.
Yes.
Just had to throw that in there. But
so if people want to just run around the world fooling themselves, go ahead.
Well, let me ask you this, Steve. You know, the life experience that you just shared, do you think that if you had not hit rock bottom, there would have been the same motivation to do what you've done?
No. We would not be having this conversation right now.
I'm going to just ask this because I think for myself sometimes, I talk about these nudges that I feel like sometimes the universe is trying to tell me something. Well, if I don't listen, I might get a nudge at first, but then if I'm not careful, I get pushed. And
yeah, exactly.
What's your take on that?
So the way I see the addictions that I had, they were the tools that the universe has used to, forgive me for the expression, to get my shit together. But really, it's the only way I was going to move.
I mean, was there one particular moment that you had when you realized you hit rock bottom?
Oh yeah, I was up in the mountains, spent the entire day spending the last cent I had in a casino. I was comped, because I was a VIP, I was comped beautiful steak dinner, a beautiful room. So after I had no more money left, see, how you find out how the gambling industry really loves you and cares about you is when you have no more money left.
Yeah, I bet that's very true.
And then I retired into my room. It was probably, back then, they were not open 24 hours, so they closed at 2. So I retired into my room at 2 o'clock, and I was devastated, totally devastated. And I saw this advertisement in the room about gambling anonymous, whatever, with an 800 number, and I picked up the phone and called it. And I got this counselor, this lady, I'll never forget her, and I ended up talking to her for several hours because I told her that I'm ready to commit suicide. I'm done. This is like insane that I keep recreating this all the time, and the hundreds. I mean, I'm serious. If I had that money right now that I gambled away, it's probably close to $500,000.
Wow.
And that was an addiction that probably took like 10 years. $500,000.
Wow.
And I have nothing to show for it other than this network. So to me, it was worth it.
So it would be fair to say that this is a $500,000 network. That's what it took to get there.
It's what it. Well, it cost a lot more than that.
Yeah,
because of all the stuff that we've been doing and all the bills we've been paying. But it certainly took that $500,000 to get me to straighten myself out. Yes, that's what it cost to just start it.
Well,
that was the entry fee.
I couldn't help but laugh because my mind always goes here, but when you mentioned you saw that advertisement, I thought, what was that? It was marketing. I mean,
yes, it was marketing.
Had it not been for that marketing.
It says right there, do you think you have a gambling problem? I'm going like, are you talking to me? Of course I'm having a gambling problem. I'm broke and I'm ready to kill myself. I have a gambling problem. I need to talk to somebody right now.
I don't want to point out something, though, in a way. I think you did kind of, like, die that night. And then
yes,
were
I did.
reborn.
Yes, I did. I did die. A part of me that used to be that, and that I mean the part of me that always was looking for somebody to make love to me, because if they made love to me, that meant to me they loved me. It doesn't mean that. And I had it that way, that sex meant they loved me. No, it doesn't mean that. It doesn't. Sometimes it does, but most of the time it's just sex.
Well, I have a great respect for the programs, especially when it comes to addictions, because I do think that without help, that it is like being on an island by yourself. And I think it takes a lot of strength to actually realize that and hit bottom, and because we see it all the time. A lot of people hit bottom, but it's like you said, you have a choice. You can either keep going lower, sinking lower, or you can climb out.
I mean, I tried to get all kinds of help, but nothing worked for me. Nothing worked for me. I even went to Gambling Anonymous, to the meetings, and I felt like I have to throw up. That's what the environment felt. It's like you go to this meeting and everybody stands up and says, "Hi, my name is Steve. I'm a gambler." I says, that just doesn't feel right. I'm not a gambler. There's just a part of me but that's not who I am. Just a part of me is a gambler. I'm not going to declare in front of all these people that that's who I am, because that's not who I am. Just a part of me is a gambler.
That probably goes back to something you said earlier, too, like what we think about expands. Because I've wondered the same thing sometimes, like if you stand up and say, "Hi, I'm Constance, I'm an alcoholic," I mean, does that mean that, you know,
you just declare that that's who you are? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've thought that a lot myself. Now, wow, I mean, yeah, you've kind of taken me by surprise. I didn't know you were going to be quite as open and share as much. But
hey, what's the worst that can happen? You know, people will judge me. Well, guess what? They're going to do it anyway, regardless of what I say.
I think sometimes, though, the people, or I've found in my own experiences, the people that judge are usually the ones that can identify something within themselves. Like, you know, why are you so judgmental, for example, of an alcoholic or a sex addict or you know, something. Sometimes, a lot of times, I think because there's something within them that resonates, but they're not ready to acknowledge it. So, you know,
yeah,
I
they
do
got to point
applaud
the finger. Yeah, and I'm happy to be here, having their fingers pointed too.
That's what I was saying.
It's
great. One
great.
pointing at you, but there's what, 4 pointing back, or you know, 3
Yes.
pointing back.
I'm happy to be their mirror, and that's another cliche that a lot of people called me on before.
So you've made this move. You took this 9 years. What made you decide upon the name Conscious Evolution Media?
It's actually something that was developed between me and a friend of mine. That while we were working together, it has become quite obvious to me for the last year or so that Real Coaching Radio and TV Network has reached its effectiveness and also its growth. Like, we have outgrown ourselves, and what I mean by that is we have outgrown just to be thinking of us coaching and just to be thinking of being in the self-development, the personal development industry. And that's really what we took on 9 years ago, is that I wanted to be there for that industry. But we have outgrown it, because now, initially the network was all about helping people how to express themselves, because we, you know, I feel that, I mean, that's television 101. You got to be able to express yourself and feel comfortable doing so. Like, I'm not thinking about right now what I should say. The stuff just comes out of my mouth. Sometimes I feel it's not even me that's saying what I'm saying. There's something I'm connected to, higher than myself, bigger than myself, and it's speaking through me. And we can be in a situation where we are worried about what we say or how we say it. We have to be able to just express who we are. Short term, we have to be able to be ourselves, our authentic self. Like, this is me. This is my truth. This is who I am. This is not a pretense. I'm not pretending to somebody I'm not. How do you know that, Constance, that I'm not pretending?
Oh, I get a good feeling you're not pretending. No, I think that
because most people, people that are pretending, they want to hide all the stuff that I spoke about openly.
Absolutely.
Which what makes them not authentic. So they have something to cover up, put something under the carpet.
Mm-hmm.
That's when we have the feelings where we know that there is an elephant in the room, but nobody wants to acknowledge it. Hey, and I would be the guy that would say, hey, guess what? We're not doing one more thing until we talk about the elephant.
How do you think most people are with that, though? Do you think, like, let's say the average person is comfortable doing what you're saying, being forthright, saying, look, there is an elephant there?
No, they're not. They're not comfortable. That is why, I mean, I was in corporate America for well over 20 years, and I've been to way too many meetings where, you know, the president or the CEO is asking probing questions. These are questions that everybody in the room have discussed before outside of the room and have shared with each other and expressed their feelings and truth about it. But all of a sudden the CEO and the president is asking in a formal environment, everybody clams up. Nobody wants to share. Nobody wants to express their truth. And that's not something. That's not something I stand for. I have never stood for it. Matter of fact, I grew up in the communist country, and I opened my mouth every day, and I didn't worry about my life, because for me, my truth and how I felt and what I needed to say was more important than my safety.
And by you stepping into that, though, it sounds like you were protected, or you wouldn't be here today, right?
Yeah, I've been beat up a lot when I was a kid by the communists, but look what happened. Communism in Hungary went away, and I'm still here talking about it. They're gone. They've been wiped off the earth.
I think, to me, that's also symbolic of even what we're talking about. When you talk about, like, conscious evolution, everything does go through an evolution. Countries go through an evolution. I mean, people go through an evolution. Our environment goes through an evolution. Yes. Where do you see conscious evolution media in the next, say, 2 to 5 years? What will be the point where you say, it's doing what I want it to do?
When it becomes a household name. Just like Coke, just like Pepsi, just like McDonald's. When conscious evolution media becomes a household name like YouTube, I'll be satisfied.
And do you see any reason why you can't reach that?
There is no reason.
So how can we, the audience and listeners, help you to promote that?
Well, how you can do that is to tell everybody you know, and tell them from an experiential point of view, just like when you go to a good movie. When you go to a good movie, people don't have, you know, any issues or problems telling their friends, their family, hey, I just went and saw this movie. It was absolutely awesome. I recommend you go see it. And this is why.
And so, in a way, we could help you do that by tweeting about it. Of course, I have to throw in the marketing here. Tweeting about it. We can help you with
Yes.
Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube.
Yes. Absolutely.
Like you said, chatting with our friends. I mean, the more that we can get people involved, and I think the way that I see it, and the one reason why I wanted to join it is because I see myself going through a growth period, being more conscious. And I think that's why I wanted to be promoted. I did have an opportunity to go with another company, so to speak, and I really felt this was the right fit. And I applaud you for what you're doing, for what you've done, and I look forward to being part of that movement going forward.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Constance. So I did this on the last show, and I think it's very appropriate on this show as well. I'm going to just read a very short couple of sentences, which is what we stand for and what we live by. So human consciousness is unfolding right now more than ever before. For the first time in the history of our species, we are able to consciously participate in our own evolution. This represents a huge shift, and I want to underline those two words, a huge shift from an ego-based point of view to an aware, holistic, and spiritual basis for all of us living our lives. And that's what we stand for, and that's something I can step into any moment.
I think that's being the Barefoot Marketer, those are big shoes to fill and step into. So maybe it might be good to be barefooted to start making that step. I have to agree. I think we're in a lot more conscious. I think there's a lot more people seeking. And that's why, to me, if this is a way that we can reach people and help people and I really have to go back to, I applaud you for being yourself, just like I want to be, and let people know that's okay. And, be able to step into that.
Who else are we going to be? Everybody else is taken.
Yeah. I don't think there's any more barefoot marketers out there. I don't know, but...
Yeah, so mention something about, how can people find you, find your show. Do you know yet, since it's brand new, have you thought about what are some of the themes that you want to address first in the next few shows?
I know that I want to approach some of the local businesses that we have, just some holistic businesses, and probably start with some of that. And themes meaning that maybe taking a theme of social media one week, web design, and kind of breaking it down. Part of the show talking about people how to be themselves, and the other part really kind of delving into it a little more. And yes, you can reach me or find me at the Career Evolution channel, correct? No.
Yeah, consciousevolutionmedia.com, and all people have to do is just click on channels, and they will find Constance's show under Careers, the Careers channel.
Well, thank you very much, Steve.
Thank you, Constance. You're awesome. I know you're going to do really well.
Well, I hope so, and I appreciate the chance to get out there and spread my wings. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week. Of course, same place, same time on Conscious Evolution Media Network. Always 5 o'clock Mountain, and that would be 6 o'clock your time, which is Central, 7 o'clock Eastern, and that would be 4 o'clock Pacific. We love you all. See you next week.
Namaste.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Today's podcast is brought to you by ObesityHotline.com, the silent killer, providing support and encouragement in the prevention of this rising epidemic. Featuring the Body by Vi Challenge. Is there a quick answer to the question? Go to www.obesityhotline.com. You're watching and listening to Conscious Evolution Media, shifting global consciousness at Conscious Evolution.